What if you've been collecting evidence your entire life without realizing it? And what if every experience, every disappointment, every success, and every brave decision has been teaching your nervous system what to expect next? And what if the fastest way to change your life isn't trying harder, it's learning to collect different evidence? Welcome to Regulate and Rise, where regulation is the path to liberation. I'm Lianna, founder of the Emancipation Frequency.
And I'm Tracy, founder of Ruha Rising.
And today we are talking about something that could completely change the way you think about healing, about confidence, and about personal growth. Because most people think transformation begins when you change your thoughts. You know, it's all a mindset thing. That's what people think because that's what they're used to.
Mhm.
But what if it begins when changing the evidence your nervous system has available? So today we're going to talk about exactly that. Now imagine your nervous system as a courtroom. Every single experience that you've had becomes an exhibit, another exhibit in the case against or for you. This is pretty compelling. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, every success, every rejection, every betrayal, every act of courage, every disappointment. Every last one of those things gets filed away here and in your body. That's the part we forget about. And then your nervous system reaches a verdict about who you are and what the world is like, which becomes your story. But the beautiful news about all of that is the case is never closed because you can learn to submit new evidence every day, which will
Mhm.
change your entire nervous system and the way that you show up in life. So, Miss Tracy, let's talk about how the nervous system creates these stories about life.
Mhm.
How does all this evidence that it's presented with, what we label good and bad, how does the nervous system begin to create stories about our life based on all of that?
Well, everything that happens to us, Liana, it's in a sense internalized. It goes somewhere in our bodies, into our nervous system. If we have a good experience, that gets registered as evidence. If we have a bad experience, that gets registered as evidence. Our bodies are looking for patterns, they're looking for comfort. Where can I be comfortable? How can I let myself relax? And these are conversations our bodies have, our nervous system has, and it's not a conscious dialogue. Usually, it's not conscious, it just happens. Our bodies pick up things before our brain does. Our bodies pick up evidence and then send something to our brain. We're in danger or we're safe. We can relax, we can rest, or we're in danger. We need to shut down. We need to get away from this person, this relationship, this job, whatever the case is. We're registering constantly as we're living our lives and breathing, and registers inside of your body. And then your body sends messages to your mind, and that's how we figure out, what do we do? Are we safe? Can we move forward? Do we need to protect ourselves and shut down or run? So that's basically what happens in your nervous system when things happen
Okay.
to us. Yeah.
And all those repeated experiences become expectations, which can kind of be a little scary because I
Hmm.
know, like now that I recognize it a lot more, when I'm having conversations with people,
Hmm.
like I can see where they're stuck, where the evidence that has always shown up in their life is always negative, just
Hmm.
based on their reaction to in conversations or whatever. So it's really something to see. Once you
Hmm.
become aware of it, you'll start to notice it in other people.
Hmm.
And sometimes our bodies react before our mind even gets a chance to think about it, because it becomes this automatic response to
Hmm.
based on the evidence that we've been taking in and
Hmm.
interpreting. Our bodies have been interpreting.
Right.
So from a trauma conscious perspective, how
Hmm.
does our body remember these experiences? I think you kind of touched on it there.
Our bodies are programmed to take in evidence. Our nervous systems pick up sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, all of our senses. Before we're even thinking about it, that's already happening. So, for example, if we see a situation happening around us that frightened us before, even if it's not the same people, the same setting, if it brings up the same smells, the same sensations, the same sounds, sometimes our bodies are triggered to react to that, and we panic, we get afraid, we run, but our bodies are making us do that. Our bodies are telling us, protect yourself, stay safe, do something, stay safe. And our nervous system just reacts. And that fight or flight in the trauma world or everyday situations, do I run from this? Is it safe? Am I picking up information that's real, that's true? Or is it something from the past? Am I reacting to something from the past? But you've got to really get into your self awareness, your consciousness to figure that part out. Otherwise, you're just going to be reacting. Sometimes you don't know why you do things. Why did I say that? Why did I think that? Why did I leave that person? That was a good person for me, or that was a good friend. We don't always know unless we do that deep dive into, and we'll get into that later, into what's really going on in our bodies. How can we stop that and change how we see it?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how our bodies are constantly scanning
Mhm.
for threats. And a threat could be anything that we've interpreted as something that's uh, bad for us, that's going to
Mhm.
hurt us. It's almost like a radar system. We have these built in radar system that's constantly, you know, wants to keep us safe. And so, but sometimes the stories that we build up from all this evidence gathering
Mhm.
can continue to show up long after the danger is past. Why do these things continually haunt us and keep showing up, like we keep looping in these same patterns throughout our lives, even after the danger has passed?
Because those responses have become habits. Until you first of all become aware that you're reacting in a certain way, you can't change it. You have to become aware of yourself. You have to look at your patterns. Why am I doing this? What just happened? For example, I'll just give a very basic one. My dad, he didn't have to worry to spank me or anything like that. All he had to do was raise his voice and yell, and that deep voice just scared me. And I would
Mhm.
do what I was supposed to do. And if I had let that carry over into my lifetime, every time somebody raised a voice or yelled at me, you know, if I had cowered, that's just my habitual response because that's what I was used to when I heard a voice that was loud and deep, if that makes sense. Um, just a basic example. We keep doing what we know, we keep doing what we're used to until we change it.
Mhm. It's that traumatic experience that kind of triggers us, um, based on something that happened to us in the past. Because I know I've had many of the, like you just explained, I've
Hmm.
had many of those things come up in my life. Um, it's extraordinary how our nervous systems go into the mode of protection for
Hmm.
us. But those traumas do live in our bodies.
Hmm.
Um, I know I read a book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And in the book, she has a whole section on where various traumas live in your body, in your organs.
Hmm.
And if you think about how disease forms, it's 9 times out of 10 where you're holding something in your body,
Hmm.
and that has been scientifically proven. Uh,
Hmm.
so it does behoove us to become aware of these behaviors, especially as we grow and evolve. But it does take quite a bit of internal work
Hmm.
to get to that place where you even want to be honest with yourself and look that deep at yourself.
Hmm.
And I know for me, I'm a person that's always doing the inner work because I am growing and evolving. And I like to see what's holding me back. Where are those things living in me that are constantly making me go through the same loops and repeat the same behaviors over and over again? Even
Hmm.
at my age now, I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning and I'm
Hmm.
growing, and I'm a lifetime learner. And
Hmm.
so it takes having kind of a positive attitude about yourself and wanting to see yourself.
Hmm.
And I know well, not a lot of people, but I know there are many people who don't like to look at themselves. So that kind of
Hmm.
is not very helpful for them. But I can
Hmm.
tell you it works
Hmm.
tremendously.
And I was, if I wanted to do what I did, I wanted to obtain my degree and practice dance movement therapy in my counseling work. And so I had to look at myself. We had to analyze in front of everybody. We had to dig deep in front of everybody. Picked apart all of your movements, your breathing, everything, how you related to space, how you related to each other. All of that has to do with how can I be myself? How can I use my strengths? How can I be aware of what gets in the way when I'm trying to interact with other people so I can change that if I notice it coming up? And without that awareness, I would not be able to do counseling
Hmm.
because I would take in everyone else's problems and take them to heart or take things they say personally. No, and because of what I did, I knew and I know a lot of what's said to me in counseling sessions, that's not my stuff, but I can help you reflect it back. I can take it in, hold it for you, let you look at it. Let's talk about it. Let's do a deep dive. What's really going on?
Hmm.
But I don't let my reactions get in the way of me helping other people. And that's not to say they don't come up, because when you're doing counseling, people will bring up all kinds of situations, and you could be sitting there going, "Ooh, I got, yeah, me too."
Me too.
I get it, girl. or, you know, or I'm saying, why in the world did you say that? Um, but I don't bring that out. I use that to go, this might be what's going on with you. Let's look at it. And then I check in, just based on the stuff going on. What's your body doing? What thoughts are coming up for you? What feelings? How does that feel? Are you nervous? I'll even deep dive into, is your stomach hurting? Are you getting hot? What's going on a sensory level, so you can understand how your nervous system is reacting and keeping you stuck.
Hmm.
Where, as Lianna was talking about, where am I holding my breath as I take deep breaths? Or just breathing normally, doing a body scan. Where am I holding my breath? How can I let that go? When you let go of your breath, other things come up, thoughts, feelings, and that's where you start getting more self awareness, so you can respond to situations and not just quickly react on a neurological level. You can go, wait a minute, why did I do that? Okay, let me stop. And then you take it from there. And you can make healthier choices and build a more positive life for yourself.
But it is extremely helpful. It's like you're collecting evidence on the evidence they collected in order to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And God, it's so extremely helpful to know where your story where your stories are coming from, all
Mm-hmm.
everything that you've been through and collected your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, what evidence are you collecting? Most
Mm-hmm.
people unknowingly collect evidence that confirms their fears,
Right.
the negativity. Um, I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or they didn't text back. See, people always leave. And I can relate to some of these. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got rejected. Uh, See, nothing ever works out. And in the meantime, people tend to ignore the evidence that says otherwise. Why do we hone in on the negative, the bad things, versus the good things? Because there's plenty of evidence of good things that happen to us every day.
Mm-hmm. Where that can go back to sociology. We're conditioned to look at bad stuff before we look at the good stuff. We are, for example, it's hard to take compliments. Why is that? It feels good. We're not used to feeling good. So we're going to just take in the negative and judge ourselves. I
Hmm.
messed up. I'm no good. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the skills that I need. We're just looking at the negative. And especially today, if you look at the TV, you see a lot of reality shows. What's on those reality shows? People yelling, screaming, arguing, pointing out all the bad stuff, fighting. You look at the news, same thing.
Hmm.
Different kind of reality show. um, and if we just look at that all day long, all we're getting is negative, negative, negative. You got to turn that off in your life, not just the TV, the news, the reality shows, but
Social
you got to,
media.
social media, you've got to let yourself experience the good. You got to let yourself get uncomfortable with feeling the good, so you can get used to, I'm taking in the positive. I'm going to let that person hug me. I'm going to shake their hand. I'm going to take that promotion because I know I deserve it. I'm going to start my own business because even though people say, oh, you can't do it, you'll never amount to anything, I'm going to do it anyway because I know I can do it. You know, But if all I got in my life was negative from the time, I was able to remember, I would probably not have these motivations and positive thoughts to turn off and push away those negative things. So we have to learn again, go back to your nervous system. You got to learn what's going on, why did I do that, and how can I turn that off because that's not what I want. This is
Hmm.
what I want. I'm not messed up. I am smart. I am good enough.
Yeah, and the way that I look at the nervous system, it's like an electrical conductor. It's an electrical system in our body, literally.
Mhm.
And we can short circuit it with all that negativity.
Mhm.
And literally, it's like our wiring system. So think of it in terms of what is your electrical system taking in, because it's going to process it in a
Mhm.
certain way. And if you know the message that you're taking in is going to hurt you, then maybe we need to look at ways that whatever you're taking in can help you.
Mhm.
And because we don't want it to damage our wiring anymore, literally, we have to rewire our brains and
Mhm.
our nervous system in order to transform ourselves. There's transform. That's another electric word. Transformer.
Transformers.
Um, but
Yes.
really, it's extremely helpful to think of it in those terms,
Mhm.
because those impulses, those things that we're taking in, are going to sit in our bodies unless we do something to transmute it and move it out.
Yes. There's the key right there.
So it's like the nervous system doesn't just remember trauma, it
Mhm.
can also learn safety. But it's only if we help the nervous system notice the difference.
Mhm.
So the key is we have to become good evidence collectors, be
Mhm.
an evidence collector. And this, I'll tell you, was so huge for me. Like I said, I needed to collect evidence after years of working in my business, especially developing an online community and being able to serve humanity by the services I have to offer. But I can't do that until I create evidence that it's going to work. And this is me in a new space, because I left the old coaching paradigm behind and established a new space just last year. And it came from the whole experience in my life that I went through, the emancipation frequency. Everything is frequency, everything is vibration. That may be getting a little woo woo for some people, but there's your electric system again. It's frequency, it's vibration, it's moving, it's in constant motion. And so I needed to develop a safety container for myself that was small, that would give me evidence that I could make income with this new uh, coaching modality that I developed. And so I've done that. I created a space where actually I created a shirt, a t shirt in my new apparel line that has sold, and it has brought in that income. So now I have evidence that that is going to work for me. And it keeps building with each sale, it builds and builds and builds. And not only that, when my grandson and I go out shopping or whatever, we notice, I said, notice all the things, all the good things that happen for us and to us. Everything is happening for our highest good. So if we find a penny on the ground, we reach down and pick it up. Oh, thank you for this penny. This is wonderful. Um, if someone bags our groceries or helps us in the store, that's
Mhm.
evidence that everything is working out for me. All those little things that we don't pay attention to daily because we're so focused on the negative, if you write them down, which I developed a practice of doing in my journal, is writing down evidence daily of those
Mhm.
small, little bitty, itty bitty wins.
Mhm.
And that is what helps transform your brain.
Mhm.
That's what helps rewire that electrical system and raise your vibration at the same time.
Mhm. Yes, you have to do those small steps.
Exactly.
Uh, a puzzle can't be put together just taking it out of the box, bam, here it is. You got to take those small steps, sort things out, figure it out, put it together, accept those wins, accept help from others, accept
Hmm.
comments positive from others for your self-esteem and just to reflect back how you are enough. You are good enough.
Exactly. It's amazing. Part of that, people not being able to accept compliments, I believe, is related to your ability to receive,
Mhm.
and that's receiving anything because it's so difficult for people. And I know that's a part of this nervous system dysregulation
Mhm.
is lacking the ability to receive, whether it be a compliment. Uh, we sell ourselves short in the income area sometimes and money because we sometimes are in this lack mindset based on what we've been conditioned to believe. And so all of that together creates an inability to receive. It's like
Mhm.
open your hands and allow yourself to receive the energy of everything good that is meant for you in life.
Mhm.
That's the shift.
Mhm.
But that requires practice, awareness, and practice.
Mhm. I I had a patient in one of my substance abuse groups, and they were always teaching me things, but he taught the group one day. He said, I learned this rock thing, and he had rocks in his pocket. He said, every time something negative comes my way, you know a negative thought, a negative feeling, somebody putting me down, I'm putting a rock in my pocket. And he said, pretty soon you're going to realize you're heavy. You're weighed down by all this stuff. You got to learn how to unpack each rock one at a time. I'm not taking this negative compliment. I'm not taking this put down. I can do it. And just learn how to turn your thinking around
Hmm.
and get that weight off of you, because it literally is a weight inside that you can't see, because it's hanging on in your muscles, it's hanging on in your breathing. It's making you sick. If your breathing is not going through every part of your body, your blood's not pumping there efficiently enough, and your body's not working right. So you got to get rid of that weight, unpack that weight.
That's a powerful reminder. I love that because it becomes uncomfortable to carry all that weight. You know, we tend to think that those fearful things that we're afraid of doing
Mhm.
is what makes us uncomfortable. It's actually carrying the weight of all that that's uncomfortable.
That inner dialogue is what the weight is.
Hmm.
Can't be right. People can't be treating me well. I'm not used to this. I've had people so used to that weight of no one in the relationships I've been in with is nice to me. And I would have people question other people that I knew, is she for real? uh,
Hmm.
is she being honest. Is she just pretending? I'm not used to this. So we get so used to hanging on to the pieces that have hurt us in life, in relationships, in work, in families, that we sometimes just get bogged down and stuck there.
Yes.
And we're just, as Liana said earlier, we're hanging on to all that stuff. When you're doing all this, you're in fighting mode. You're
Hmm.
going into that fight or flight. If you can open up and say, I don't want to carry this, this is not my stuff, take responsibility if some of it is, because some of it might be. But
Hmm.
don't take everybody's stuff and don't take everyone's word for how you are, because only you know who you are, how you can be, how you want to be, and you don't have to hang on to all the negative that people put into our minds and our bodies and our lives.
Exactly. And as you're opening your hands to let go, you
Hmm.
are also opening your hands to receive. Receive. Allow it to come back to you. Everything is reciprocal. The law of reciprocity.
Hmm.
Everything is reciprocal.
Hmm.
So we have to start becoming good evidence collectors,
Hmm.
different evidence collectors, collecting different evidence. Every small win matters, every single one. So record it.
Hmm.
Whether you're recording it on your phone, whether you're writing it down. I'm old school, man, because when you write it down, it makes different parts of your brain work
Hmm.
to remember what you're writing down,
Hmm.
um, which is powerful. And every courageous choice matters. Every
Hmm.
promise that you keep to yourself and other people matters.
Hmm.
It all matters. And that's all new evidence going into your wiring to rewire your system so that you can fire in a more positive way, a more uh, life giving way.
Hmm.
Uh, for example, I got out of bed and I wanted to hide, but I actually got out of bed and that's a positive thing because some people will stay in bed all day if they
Hmm.
want to avoid something uncomfortable.
Hmm.
I recorded the video, means you allowed yourself to become visible,
Hmm.
and instead of not doing it and remaining in a place of comfortable fear, comfortable pain,
Hmm.
maybe it's something that was going to move you forward. I applied for the job, versus you not applying for the job because you were afraid to do it, or
Hmm.
afraid to interview, or maybe you wouldn't be selected. How do you know if you don't get out there and put yourself out there?
Hmm.
You know, you're counting on that negative evidence to carry you into, oh God, I'm not going to get this job.
Hmm.
But let's switch it up. I rested without guilt. Good Lord, that's important because I know for me, I worked like 16, 17 hours a day and I would not allow myself to rest. I felt guilty. I felt like it meant that I was lazy. And, but now, and I don't know if it's because I've gotten older and I
You
am the old lady, the,
old girl.
yeah, but I allow myself to rest. When my body's tired, I'm like, okay, lay down, lay down. I did not give myself the opportunity to do that in the past. And
Hmm.
I know I suffered for it. So, all those things, I received a compliment instead of dismissing it. Those are important pieces of evidence that need to be
Hmm.
recorded so you can remember them and condition your brain into that new thinking pattern.
Hmm.
Each and every one of those things becomes a new piece of evidence
Mm-hmm.
not the old fight or flight stuff, but the stuff that's actually going to move you into
Mm-hmm.
a more positive phase of your life, a more creative, uh, you'll have more clarity,
Mm-hmm.
that type of thing. That's where we're headed.
You won't have all that stuff in the way anymore. And this is not to say we're going to be perfect, because
Right.
we're always going to have problems, conflict, change, and we have to figure out how to get through that and what to keep, what to learn from, what to get rid of and get away from.
Yes.
And those small wins. Sometimes I have the people I work with, this is corny, I know, but I say, raise your hand up in the air, put it on your back, do this. And they do it every single time. And it's usually right after they have said something that they think is small that they did, but from my view and seeing their growth, I'm able to say that that's a big thing you just did. You wouldn't have done
Yes.
that in the past. Give
Exactly.
yourself credit, celebrate that win. So,
Yeah. And oh my God, those things are so powerful. Um, I was thinking about something that recently happened in my life where I have evolved, especially in this last year, since realizing that my nervous system was dysregulated a good portion of my life.
mm-hmm,
But I have evolved now to the point where if something is causing me to go back into the same loop, the patterns that I was repeating my entire life, because now I'm more aware of them because I've collected evidence, I tell myself I refuse to go back to who I was before. I refuse to repeat those same behaviors that I repeated before because that is giving me the credit for the evolution that's taken place in my life.
mm-hmm,
I want to embody the lesson and integrate the lesson. I don't want to go back and repeat the same things over and over again. That's like being in a nightmare and running down the hall and the hallway never ends. it's
true.
it's that thing. So no, I'm not going back. I refuse to go back. No matter who it is, what the situation is, I am safe enough within myself now to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you, Tracy, why do these repeated small moments, the little evidence that we store away, that we collect, how does that create deeper healing than waiting for like one big massive breakthrough?
Because it lets you know little by little, I'm making progress, I'm getting better, I can do whatever it is. I can feel whatever I want to feel. I can think the way that I want to think. I can take action. I can have success. Even if it's just, I got out of bed today. I got dressed. For some people, that's your small step for the day.
Hmm.
I went into the meeting. I gave a speech. I made the phone call and got my first client. I whatever it is. You got to be able to do those small things and let it build up and become a pattern, a habit, I should say, getting used to it. And we always hear, I've heard many, many decades of my life.
You're that old?
No, practice, practice makes perfect. We're not perfect, but the more you practice, the more you're going to get it, the more it's going to sink in. And that's what you need, that sinking in, that integration, as Liana said, getting it, feeling it, not just taking an act, putting it on, and it doesn't become a part of you. You got to really let it sink in and realize how good you are, how brave you are, how talented you are, how creative, how smart, how wonderful. I could go on and on and on. You got to let that sink in. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. So when you're faced with these major things going on in your life, changes, problems, whatever it is, you're able to have that confidence and that good feeling inside that you know you're going to get through this too, just like you did everything else, because
Hmm.
your history has shown I built up all these steps to get where I am. I'm able to do it. It doesn't come all at once. You got to practice learning to put things into action, into situations, into your life, into your brain, learning to tell yourself positive things when those negative thoughts pop up. So integration, small steps, building that habit, knowing that you can do it.
And sometimes I think it's easier to collect the smaller evidence because typically, if you're in nervous system dysregulation, you tend to be in
Mm,
overwhelm. And so you can handle the smaller tidbits of information a
mm-hmm,
little easier and integrate those.
mm-hmm,
Um, so just tiny evidence repeated consistently can create profound
mm-hmm.
change.
Yes.
So now let's talk about creating your own evidence file. What can you do to create your evidence file? So you can start a note on your phone, like I was talking about earlier, and you can call it evidence file. I love it. I have this little note section in my phone, and I can just tap on it and click whatever or put whatever I want to put in there, notes, uh,
Mm-hmm.
things I want to remember or whatever. And then, unfortunately, we're always with our smartphones, most of us anyway. And just click that baby open and remind yourself of the evidence you collected today that is there to help you and help rewire and recondition you, reprogram you into that positive, the evolution that's going to take you forward
Mm-hmm.
and move you in a different direction in life.
Mm-hmm.
So every evening, ask yourself, what happened today that proves I'm becoming who I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
That's critical. And then the next thing that you can put in your notes section in your evidence file is, what did I do today that my old self wouldn't have done? What are those good things? What did you do today? Did you help somebody, in a different way? Did you offer your assistance to some elderly person that needed to cross the street? Or did you pay it forward in the grocery store? Did you buy someone a cup of coffee? Did someone buy something for you? Did someone give you a compliment? Those type of things. Did you give someone a compliment? Is that something that you normally wouldn't have done? Are you uncomfortable doing those things?
Mm-hmm.
And then, thirdly, what fear did today's evidence that I collected for myself challenge? Those three questions can help shift your life in amazing ways. You're collecting that evidence on a daily basis. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look back at it and see how far you've come, because you're collecting more evidence every day, I'm telling you, profoundly powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So write everything down, every compliment, every opportunity that you get on a daily basis, every brave decision, every act, of self trust, every tiny victory, because those things, again, that's the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to reprogram yourself and watch your life start to change in amazing ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically just building a new case file,
Mm-hmm.
one piece of evidence at a time. So I'm going to ask the audience now, if your nervous system were putting yourself on trial, putting your life on trial, what evidence would it present today? Think about that. What lives within your psyche, your story? What
Mm-hmm.
have you collected throughout the years? And I'm talking about from the time you were a child to now. Are you aware of those things? What evidence would it, or I'm sorry, are you collecting evidence for fear? Are you collecting more evidence based on your fears? Or are you collecting evidence for your freedom? Freedom from fear and making that shift. How do you want your life to change? What
Mm-hmm.
vision do you have for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And what's one small win that you've overlooked this week in the 2 days that we've had so far? Those are compelling questions to ask yourself on a daily basis. So, before we go into Tracy's closing reflection today, does anyone have anything they want to share, or do you have any questions based on anything that we talked about today with regard to collecting evidence? And we all have a choice in the matter. And I'm telling you, unless you make a choice to do these things, the same stories, the same patterns, the same habits, like Tracy said, are going to continue looping, looping, looping in your life. And you're going to wonder why the same things keep happening to you all the time. Why did this happen in my life? And I'm talking about, you can go back 20 years. Are you still repeating the same behaviors
Mm-hmm.
from 20 years ago? Ask yourself those questions. So, Tracy,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and lead us in the closing reflection for today.
Okay. So I'm going to invite you, if you're comfortable, because we can't see you, I can't see you. Close your eyes for a moment. Take one slow breath. Now think about the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be, not your old self, but the one you're becoming. Now ask yourself, what's one piece of evidence from today that proves you're already changing? That proves you're already becoming who you want to be and doing things in a different way than what you used to do. Maybe you spoke kindly to yourself. You didn't beat yourself up today when you did something you wish you would have done differently. Maybe you kept a promise. Maybe you asked for help when you needed it. Maybe you chose peace instead of panic. Maybe you were able to turn your thoughts off instead of letting them go into that overthinking mode, and you said to yourself, I just want peace. Whatever happened, don't dismiss it, receive it, because that's how your nervous system learns. Whatever you take in, you can learn from it, you can receive it. One experience, one moment, and one piece of evidence at a time. Let yourself receive that. And take another deep breath and just maybe thank yourself for being open to receiving whatever information you got out of today that might help you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Mhm.
So remember, your future isn't created by one giant breakthrough. It's created by the evidence that you collect every single day, especially the little evidence, the ones that create gratitude in
Mhm.
your life. Every promise you keep, every boundary that you honor, every courageous action you take, every small win you allow yourself to celebrate, each one of those things tells your nervous system, I'm safer, I'm stronger, I'm becoming someone new. And that's how we regulate and rise.
Mhm.
And that's why Tracy and I bring this to you every week to help you evolve and help you learn that there's nothing wrong with you and there's nothing broken.
Mhm.
You simply need to regulate. It'll change your life. So, if today's conversation resonated with you, tell us in the comments what's one piece of evidence that you're adding to your evidence file today. Comment that below. And if you know someone who's been measuring themselves by their setbacks instead of their progress, share this episode with them. And until next time, keep collecting evidence in your notes or in your journal or wherever you need to do it. Keep regulating and keep rising. And remember, regulation is the path to liberation. Thank you. Comment, share, like this episode, and ask someone else to join us next week because we're going to help you regulate and rise. Thank you.
Thank you.